Okay. Hi, and welcome back to Colony Kids SOS. Thanks for those who are tuning back in. We've done many episodes since the beginning of last year. So for those of you who don't know what Colony Kids SOS is, it's a show and interview series that we're doing, Eaton HK is doing with artists, creatives, but also activists and change makers in Hong Kong. And it responds to a particular time in the city, a time of change. Some would call it crisis, but we also talk about craft, creation, and one's own identity in relation to what's going on in the city. So today I'm very excited to have Liam and Mimi.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
And they are part of an exhibition that we happen to be having downstairs in our food hall in our lobby. So for those who are still, well, you get to watch this in the next month, you can see the exhibition live, but otherwise we'll be putting on images here now. We'll be cutting it in. Just a very quick introduction. Yeah, both of them are part of this exhibition, but and Mimi is the founder of Association of World Citizens Hong Kong China chapter.
Hi.
And Liam is co-founder of Quarks, also an organization for transgender, but working specifically to communicate with youth.
Yes.
Before I go into my questions, I'm just going to allow you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit and maybe talk about what you do and where, kind of your journey of work. Let's start. Yeah.
I start first?
As you wish.
Okay. Hi, I'm Liam, and I'm 19 now, and my pronoun is he, him, and I am a trans man. And my journey of my advocate work is start when I was like 15. Because at the time I met Mimi, and then Mimi bring me to the advocate world, and that was my first trial joining the film A Woman is a Woman, which is a story about a trans woman. So that is my first stepping into the advocate world. And then for my own transition journey, I first transitioned when I was 15. I first realized that the word transgender, and I confirmed that in the clinic, but because of by the time and until now, Hong Kong does not provide any medical service for the underage transgender people. So I was in a not a public one, but in the public medical services, but not but a private session by a doctor. And then I confirmed that, and I changed my uniform and talked to my mother, and things has been going quite well. And then I turned 18 and start to use hormone, and now I'm here.
Thank you. For
Okay, for me, I am Mimi. As Chantel has introduced, I founded the Association of World Citizens Hong Kong China. It was back in 2013. And the reason why I did that was actually when I came out, it's over 10 years already. And I lost my job, I lost my family, and after that, I actually spent 3 years trying to look for an alternative employment and failed. And that actually prompted me to think I need to do something to support the transgender community. And that's why I set up a local chapter of the Association of World Citizens, which has a very similar objectives as what we want to do in Hong Kong. And so I created this organization in Hong Kong and started the work to support mainly the transgender community in Hong Kong. So that's how everything started.
Great.
May I add
Yeah,
something? Because I
absolutely.
forgot to talk about how clocks start after Mimi's. Like actually, clocks starts when I was 15. I organized a group just because I couldn't find any people around my age. So people start to find me on Instagram and other social media platform. So there was originally just a WhatsApp group, and then when I was 17, I gathered other people who are also interested in advocate work, and then we grouped together and officially registered the society last year. Yeah. So that is how we start, because I found that the visibility of trans youth is lower than the adults. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start with one question that we ask everybody first, and then we can deep dive into the work of the organizations. Do that. So considering the world right now, and I guess the last year or 2 years, a lot has happened. How are you guys feeling? Like, how emotionally, mentally?
I think everybody is affected by the big changes that happen, especially in Hong Kong. It's first the equality or the movement of the youth, particularly. They're trying to fight for democracy. And after that, it comes to COVID-19. And so it's 2 consecutive years of turmoil in Hong Kong. So a lot of people is actually suffering. And many of them actually lost their jobs as well. So it's a hard time for most of us. So it's also affecting our work as well. And just so that you have been doing or hosting, we actually defer it again and again and again. And in fact, even for the people that we have looked for to do the work, some of them actually drop out because they feel they are not felt to have the right mood to be engaged in this type of work. And so they agree in the first place and they drop out. So I have to keep on looking for new people who are willing. And at the end, I don't have a complete team because I was after having 12 people, 6 men and 6 women. By the end, we only got 11. So one person dropped out in the last minute. So we are affected.
And Liam, how are you feeling?
I feel like the situation is really, really saddening, and the politics and the pandemic things has put many pressures on people, especially the youth, and which the target we're serving, and like I've seen many of them suffering from depressions and anxiety because of the pandemic and the politics things, and I feel sometimes I want to help them, but I cannot do like many for them. So it's sad, and but at the same time we cannot change many things, and especially under the pandemic things, we cannot actually meet them face to face. So sometimes they may want some supports, but we may not be providing supports to them immediately. So all the things have moved to online, and yeah.
So why don't you guys tell me about the organizations that you run, but also I know that works with youth, but maybe more in the goals, really, maybe the short term, the long term, and goals that you have, what kind of impact you're trying to make for both organizations. But also, I know that Mimi, you have also been a film producer, so you've been doing different types of work, and then you brought together this exhibition. So I think you're trying different angles of trying to address visibility and maybe empowerment. Do you want to just tell us about the scope of your work and the goals of each of these projects?
Actually, all the work that we do falls under the 3 E objectives. And the first E is empowerment. We try to empower the people within our community. Anybody who needs support, assistance, counseling, we would be willing to do it. But of course, the person who wants support has to be willing to be supported as well, because some people just hide themselves. And then if that's what they decide, then there's nothing we could do. Is people who are willing to open up, then we'll be open to them, and then we would be lending our hand to them to give them the type of empowerment that they need. And the second thing that we do is education. And so you have mentioned about the movie, you have mentioned about the art show. It's actually falling into part of our education program as well. So we just want to educate the public who do not know a lot about what transgender people are. We would try to use some simple means and ways to let them understand us more. And of course, besides using the artistic approach, we also do physical sharing of our life stories as well. And this other aspect of our educational process. The last E that we have is equality. And there's a lot of people who are suffering from unequal treatment. And they are being discriminated in society. And so if they're willing to let us know the problem, then we'll try to help them resolve. And we will first try to do it from the source of grievance. So if they got the grief from source A, then we'll be try to help by speaking to that source of grief. But that failed, then we will look for other means. A mediator that has been helpful is the Equal Opportunity Commission. And then sometimes if it is a government organization, we could actually go to the Office of the Ombudsman. And if it all failed, then we might try to resort to take up a case in the court and see whether it's possible to undo or unwind the wrongs that were done to them through a court case. Because once we have built up a case in court, then it becomes a precedent, and it's something that other people has to follow. So it's the 3 objectives, also our mission.
So there is definitely like the advocacy from public programming to working directly with the beneficiaries, with the community, to advocacy. That's a lot. And you would say that that's all works hand in hand. So it's not like your film production is a separate project. It's actually
it's part of our education
effort.
Part of our education program. We just use different means to educate the people, because sometimes watching a movie is a lot more relaxing than doing hardcore education. So you would go and do a presentation and then give them some PowerPoint presentation. Some people might like that, but some people would rather want the thing to be more entertaining. And then we could, of course, do a Q&A session after the movie show. And that's how we try to bring forward the message that we have to the audience.
Liam?
Like difference from Mimi's organization, our organization is just a newborn organization. So currently we only provide some peer supports and from some volunteer who provide some professional online supports. But in short term, our goals we want to we want to do the public education, but we are more focused on the community, so we want to do some public education, which is we going into the society, so people will see us, feel us, maybe talk to us. So we want to do something really like close to the ground. And we will also do the videos, and we are planning to do some video projects, but maybe with mix it with some topics where Hong Kong people and Hong Kong youth they like about. So this is one of our approach. And another thing is that we want to provide a space for the youth trans people to explore their identity or their orientation and other things, but mainly their identity. So we want to gather them together, so they will not feel lonely, so they can meet people around that age. They can make friends here. They can we want to do some maybe some small groups with different interests, and people can find someone who understand them in this place. So we want to create an atmosphere like this. And another thing is that we also want to speak up, so we to increase our visibility, so other trans youth will be more willing to stand up to talk to speak for themselves, which we see that there are many and many trans youth people who are willing to come out as a trans, and they are proud of being a trans people. And because we can see that in the foreign countries, many maybe underage trans activists or advocates has rise up, but Hong Kong is there are very few people. Like maybe I am the youngest one, but
Not maybe, I think you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Objectively, you're very young.
Yeah,
but yes, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Like
It's true.
yeah, in foreign country they have many people who are maybe 16,
Yeah,
15. They
teenagers.
stand out to speak up for themselves, because after being an adult as I'm 18, there's a lot difference from what they're facing underage. So we want to gain have the right to talk up to speak up for them, because they don't have any financial supports. They cannot speak for themselves, and they have many things that they cannot control, and we want to give them a chance that they can speak up. They can gain something, because like they are still sticking with their family. If their family do not support them, they can do nothing. I have been through that period, so I understand very very much to them.
How do you help them, give them a voice? Like
I think this is for now is still a goal. We want to maybe we are planning to invite some people who are underage to share their story as a underage trans people. And for now we have collect some stories and but written it on our IG and translated to Cantonese. So this is one of the way. But in future we may want to see if anyone who have the potential, and maybe they are having better their family understand them, so they can stand up. So we're still looking for people like this to represent like the underage trans people, and like the final goal we want to achieve is that to fight for the rights for underage trans people in the public medical support, so that they will not like to go buy medicine by themselves, but it's definitely not safe. So like yeah, we want to fight for more and more support from the government.
I think working with the youth is important.
Yeah.
Because if their parents are not supportive, in fact, I've actually tried before to speak to the parents. It doesn't work at all. And it doesn't work. They even block my number. So after asking them to come out, and then after I got the chance to speak to them, I got blocked from both parents. So it's hard to change the minds of the unsupportive parents. But then if we could work with them and until they reach a point that they could maybe be able to be supporting themselves, then that's important. Because they will feel very isolated if their parents is against it, and then there's no peer support. Then it's kind of very easy for these young people to get into a depressive mode.
So I feel like because I work in this environment and I have in some way proximity to communities, diverse communities, marginalized communities. So it seems to me like there is a lot of changes, right? Society seems to be more open about talking about these issues. There seems to be more content produced, but from your lived experience, is that true? Is there social change that's happening where you feel that there's more acceptance, that there is more freedom, that there's more equality, or is this just a superficial layer?
I think it did change. Like people start to talk about this topic this 2 years, I think. But I think it's still in the surface, because many people still think that if it's not related to me, then it's okay. But if it is related to them, and then it's not okay. Like maybe when they saw trans people on TV, or some trans people on the streets, they may not say something. But when it comes to closer relationship, maybe when it comes to is your family, is your partner, or is your friends, they will act different. But I think overall it has become better now. Yeah.
There's a long way to go.
Yeah.
I think although people supporting transgender people in Hong Kong, I think the number has grown over the past years. But if we are talking about acceptance, we have a long way to go, especially people in the Middle Ages, and most of them are not that open at all. And they always say that we need to protect our culture, and they said the Chinese culture does not support this kind of thing. But that's absurd, because we could see from our history that it's everywhere.
The thoughts has been already planted very deep in their mind, so it's hard to change. Maybe the next generation is our hope.
I mean, I
And
wanted
there's
to
also
ask
a
you.
religious aspect as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
yeah.
I was actually at another talk this weekend about Christianity, but in Africa, and also they brought up homosexuality, and how in many parts of the world, history of homosexuality or transgender is actually totally normal, except it's sort of this adoption of Christianity and religion or Islam or whatnot that really then, I think, it claims it that it's unnatural, and then it's sodomiers, but and yeah, so the assumption that it's historical is also fictional, is also mishistory, misinformation. But you mentioned the word generation. I think Liam, you mentioned the word
Yeah.
generation. So you guys come from different generations. Like, Liam very generously mentioned his age, but do you think at this point in time there's a different experience from two different generations of what it means to be a trans person in Hong Kong?
I think definitely difference because I know the society is not uh, uh, I know that is not like very good now, but it has changed. But uh, at least we did not face like actual bullying, like like much less than before, and people will not like go straight up to you and say something really offensive now, because at least people know something about trends. Maybe it is not something correct, but at least they know something. So I think our life will be much easier than before. But there are still a lot of things it has to change. But in my own experience, I think for my parents, they are almost from coming from the generation as Mimi's generation, but luckily they are quite accepting. So I can see that it may be a start of changing, because if parents understand their kids, it would be a lot easier. So we have seen some maybe back to the time like some 10 years ago, parents may they will leave home and never coming back to the home because they're transgender. But maybe nowadays the parents' attitude is softer. They will not like actually get them out from the home. So there is still some space for them to discuss. Yeah. So I think it's better.
I think in terms of acceptance, it really depends on the person, and we could only say in general terms that okay, the younger generation has more acceptance than the older generation, but it's not always like that. It's just like when I came out, my mom is totally accepting me, but then my son wasn't, and he has not spoken to me since I came out to him. So it really doesn't mean that if you are young, then you could accept a transgender person. So the person itself and their own mindset is actually important in terms of the whether they would be willing to accept the transgender people or not. But of course, if we're talking from a general perspective, then it's right that the younger generation has more so a bigger level of acceptance than the older generation.
So after so much of your so much effort is put into your organizations and your advocacy, and I know Quarks is just recently set up, but you said you've really been doing advocacy work since you're 15, and that's a quarter of your life. That's quite a lot.
It's like sticking some into the advocate work. Yeah.
How do you know if your work is working?
When I saw some people start to change because of maybe some interview Mimi has referred me to, like really thanks for Mimi, she gives me a chance to step into the advocate work. And like some people around me saw the interview and maybe the articles, and then they start to understand more, and they start to you're trans, and then they start to search for the information and start to try to dig deeper into the trans topic and show their acceptance, and I know it works. Yeah.
We actually do not treat the two organizations as two completely exclusive stuff. So actually, we actually work together, cross over a lot, and Liam actually do sharing in our education session as well. So we really do not say that okay, he set up another organization and therefore we have to part. So whatever we do, I cannot have him stepping in. So this is not the case. We want to be actually working together and we want to have synergy. And we think that the synergy is important. And because he could focus on the younger generation because they could talk in the same language. And it's not something that we are able to do. But then in terms of the bigger picture, then we're actually working together.
Yeah. But the question was, how do you know you've made an impact? How do you know it's been successful?
Yeah, from the 3Es perspective.
Yeah.
So when we try to do, say, the empowerment work, and then when people feel that they come out from our empowering session energized, revitalized, then we know that it works. And then the education session, we always ask people to do complete a questionnaire after we do our whatever education stuff that we do. We actually assess the effectiveness because some people just don't talk and we don't know what they think after we've delivered our stuff. But then from the questionnaire that they complete afterwards, we could actually assess how effective that is. And from the equality perspective, we know right away because whether it is successful or not successful, we know.
What is the most difficult part of your work? The biggest struggle?
Funding.
Oh.
It's very difficult because we are the minorities. There's not a lot of funders who's willing to support this type of work. And even for those funders who are willing to support this type of work, there's so many people fighting for the small pool of resources. And it's so difficult.
Me
Same?
too. Yeah, same. Because we have no money at all for now, so we are just doing it like finding volunteers, and we don't have any resources to. We just use time and manpower try to do all the things for now, but we will try to apply it later on. So, but it is still the biggest challenge.
I know that your logo is a little astronaut. Is it like astronaut? With the transgender flag colors. What does, and so I guess for me when I also think of astronauts, and sometimes I think of I imagine sort of a post-gender world, right? I kind of imagine it's actually during the Women's Festival one year we had a workshop where people invented their own science fiction aliens, their own science fiction characters that could be post-gender or whatever. What does gender or what does post-gender mean to you? Does it still have still have a definition, or does it still have value?
I think for me, gender is it does not have to be like so binary, and as I've seen in the youth, I saw that they are more and more diverse now, and I've seen that the binary has been more and more like not important to them, because I think we're talking about being ourselves and not about something what is a man, what is a woman, what is a non-binary. We try to not give a definition, but we want them to find their own way they are comfortable in. But so gender is not gender is like a color scheme. Like it's not a like solid thing. I agree that it can be changed, and there are many genders. So yeah, that's what I think.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah,
So
it's a
everybody says that it's a spectrum, and there are actually a lot of people sitting in between. And some are more to the left, and some are more to the right, and some people are actually sitting right in the middle. So that's why the LGBT thing is now getting longer and longer.
Yeah.
They just add a plus.
Yeah. So it's just add a plus
Yeah.
afterwards. And then there's also new terms in the Oxford Dictionary, TRANS asterisk. So it's because if you put an asterisk, then it actually covers everybody else. But then, so now transgender becomes a more restrictive term after they have the asterisk thing, which actually refer to the bigger spectrum of things. Yeah.
I guess this might be more directed towards Mimi, because you actually initiated Transcendence, right? And you became a film producer, which I find very interesting. What do you think? And you kind of said before, you think that it helps as a form of education. It falls in your education program. It's a tool for education. But because I'm from the art world, and like the whole world is like, art is my world. It's just, the way that I understand everything. So what, I guess, how do you understand, or I'm trying to think of how to formulate this. What can art do? What do you think art can achieve that the rest of the forms of advocacy cannot?
It's easier for a lot of people. So as I said before, if you just go and deliver a lecture, maybe not many people would come. But then if you do something which is more entertaining, then there will be more people interested. So there are different people who need different things. So we try to use different means to deliver the same concept. So our goal is still the same, but then we try to have a variety of different means to make people understand the concept that we wish to deliver.
Okay.
So that's how this thing came about. And besides the movie, actually I did a musical drama before. Yeah, so that's before the movie that I did. So
see, I mean, I think arguably a musical drama could take a lot of work as well, but the audience would be quite small. But you still chose to do it. So it's probably more than just for entertainment value.
Yeah, that's why I actually changed.
You're like, actually, it's not working. It's not working.
Because if I do a musical drama, there are only a few people that could come,
very niche.
go to the theater and watch it.
Okay.
But then if that is a movie, I could actually play it again and again. And in fact, it's now also being shown in some online platform as well. So even though for people that we may not be able to reach, they could also watch the movie and then they might be able to get the message that we wish to deliver. But of course, without a Q&A session afterwards, the effectiveness is less. But still, when they have a chance to watch the movie, I think it would tell them something. And the way that we did the movie is not like a commercial movie. So we have an educational element built inside. So it's not pure entertainment.
We can switch the gear of this conversation, and I'll ask, what do you guys do for fun? Like, what are your passions? I mean, I know that you're also learning about wine. I don't know if that's actually a passion. It doesn't seem like that's what you would claim. But yeah, what are your personal, maybe, I don't want to say ambition because I know that you have this advocacy, this like activist work ambition, but also ambitions in life, like apart from that, maybe if there isn't apart from that.
For me, it's also about art. I also draw things, but not like really professional things because back to my secondary school, I study art, and I also like drama and music and movies because I think these things are so like we can know the meanings through these things, and is always in our daily life. So I think it's like a very important way of delivering messages, and I really want to create some and be a part of it. Yeah.
Nice. It's nice to know.
Yeah.
So
what do you
of course, we do art. So just like Liam, and in fact, you know, the first musical drama that we did, your Beatrix Wong, she actually wrote the script for that drama.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
She's very talented. I mean,
Yeah.
when I watched her film, Mr. Goodbye, Mr. B. Hello, Miss. I mean, I thought it was just a really great film. Like super honest, really funny. Like just because it's hard to use humor.
Yeah,
you know?
she could do that kind of thing.
Yeah. It was kind of like very raw and honest, but at the same time serious, even though it was like funny and stuff. I thought it was excellent. Yeah.
And other than that, so I think
your passions, your interests.
I do a lot of hiking. Yeah, I also, and recently I do a lot of cooking. Yes.
Are you good? Do you?
Trying to learn. Doing a lot of cooking. I just came from a bakery class before I came here.
What kind of bakery? Is it like Japanese style?
It could be anything.
Oh, okay.
It could be anything. Yeah. So we have, and this is part of my volunteer work as well, because I could learn bakery and at the same time support other people as well, because it was a school which is providing, actually it's a secondary school to support the people whose intellectual capability is much lower, so or intellectually disabled. So they need volunteer to help them for the afternoon tea. And so I went there as a volunteer and at the same time learn bakery as well. So we did some cookies today. And so we both benefit. So they got the afternoon tea, and then we learned the techniques which we could then do it in our own time. So it's good.
How has the pandemic affected your work?
As I've mentioned, I think is that we cannot do actual meeting, actual gathering, so it's much harder for us to keep the connection with them. So we just we rely so much on the online platform like WhatsApp, Signal, or Zoom, or Teams. So because of the pandemic, we can if we want to go out, we can only be in very small groups of people. So we try to move it on the online platform. So there may be something like the connections.
And you feel like, I think you mentioned that you do feel like the youth, especially during this time, feel even maybe more sensitive or more depressed.
Yeah.
So is there more of an urgency even to stay in touch with them?
Yeah. So we can stay in touch with them also, but we have to take more time because we have to make it maybe 1-to-1. So it will be more time consuming, and we may not have that much time and people to do that. And we because we are only doing peer support, so we may not have provide them the immediate supports, but we are trying to do our best. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of online work as well, and recently we're trying to gear up our YouTube channel, and we are trying to have 2 videos per week.
Wow.
So
Very
and we
productive.
That's very productive.
yeah,
Wow.
this is our aim to have to release around 2 videos per week, and by doing so, I think we could get in touch with people, because the pandemic itself is making us more difficult to be able to deliver the things that we wish to deliver, and therefore we go online. But then there's actually creating a lot of pressure on our end, because if we wish to be that productive, that's very time consuming as well.
How do you have rituals or ways for you to stay mentally and physically healthy? I mean, I know you said you go hiking, but during these really difficult times, do you have ways that, I don't know, you try to keep your energy up and
We do some exercise. Yeah. So some exercise you could actually do it even at home, and a few minutes, and then some are very simple. So just follow, and there's some people. There are actually people who has created a lot of very creative things
what
in
kind of
YouTube.
exercises?
In YouTube that you could actually follow.
Yoga or
No, yoga is too difficult for me.
Oh, okay. What kind of exercises are that?
It's the simple stretching
Okay.
exercises. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot that
And
you could find online. So just follow.
And do you have different practices that keep you?
I think if it's when it comes to quite bad situation, I'll just hide from any other people and do my own thing. Maybe like drawing, or go to the gym, maybe go running, or just keep watching videos. So like this is my way of it's like escaping sometimes, but I think it works. Like have a more little more me time. Yeah. I think this work.
I think we're nearing the end, but we always ask this question as well. Well, I think there's, let's say, 3 more questions that we ask in all our interviews. One is, how would you define this generation? So it can be your generation, or it can be this youth generation, however you want to define it. But how would you define this generation?
Want to go first? Or what?
I'm thinking of the word.
Or maybe then I go first. So I think this generation is running at a much faster pace. It's unlike us. So we need to keep in pace with them. Otherwise, we would become the poor old chap that they want us to be dispensed with. So we need to be able, in order to be able to mingle with them, we try to be emphatic. We try to keep in pace with them, and then that would help.
I agree, and I think in this generation, people they have a much stronger their thoughts. So everything's that's people in this generation, people like to judge, and people like to think, and people like to discuss. It's something good and it's something bad, but I think overall it's like the connection between people, it is actually stronger than before. Uh, and the informations and the way of how they received it has become so fast, and so I think like it makes me feel like the future is unpredictable because everything is fast changing. Yeah.
It's very insightful.
Yeah.
Lack of patience is another thing. So people are not very patient. So they don't like you to talk a lot. So you need to be able to speak in very concise manner. You try to talk paragraphs and paragraphs. They just turn away.
I think that's correct. I think that's correct too. What's been your biggest realization in the last year or 2 years or recent times?
The biggest realization, I think the younger generation sometimes are thinking things are too simple. I think I think there are a lot for them to learn. They need to be more sophisticated, and just like the move for democracy and the way that they do, I think the chance of success is quite low, and it won't help at all. And I think a lot of the stricter control that has come right now is a result of the thing that they did. So if they have tried a different approach, maybe it could be different. It's not the way to deal with things. They're right, and what they want is not wrong. But then the way that they try to go after is making their life harder. So it's now working in the reverse direction. So I think there's something. I hope the people who actually learn this lesson.
I think my realization is that not to judge, because I think in this in this like this civilization, I think all the peoples has becoming like I've mentioned, people like to they like to stand their own thoughts and stand with their own stance very much. So I'm trying to be so open minded and to so that I can discuss with people about anything. So but that's there is always a case, but I'm not talking about not judging something like clearly wrong or clearly right, but I'm talking about like not to judge how people present themselves, how they do, how they look, like things like this. But I think in this years, and people really like to judge, and this makes me feel quite like struggle, because sometimes we don't know how to communicate with people who always like to judge, because things are not always right and always wrong. There's something not in between, and there are always still a space for us to discuss, and I want the space to discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, I think antagonism won't work. And then if everybody is taking extreme view, then things would just go further and further apart. And that's what happened in the past year. It's getting worse right now.
So just an optimistic maybe ending. What do you look forward to?
A more inclusive world.
Yeah.
everybody accepts diversity, and
Uh,
then we will have a society that will be fit for all humanity to live.
Mm.
less judging. Less judging. Yeah. I'm looking for a less judging world. So, like, everyone can live their own comfortable way. So, yeah.
That was a really beautiful ending. I'm very touched. That's all from my side. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Um,
Not really. It's
No.
just the
yeah.
same as I
Mm.
said. I look forward to a world that everybody could live with dignity and respect as we move on to the future.
Yeah. And especially for the gender topics, uh, uh, either feminism or gender equality or trans or sexual orientation and everything like that, because I feel like everyone in this world needs to study gender study, because like we have very poor sex education, and I also looking for a better sex education afterwards in futures. So like so equal will be everyone will be more equal. Yeah.
Great. I think it's a wrap.
Oh, good. Okay. Bye bye, everybody.
That was really lovely. Thank you so much. That was a
Thank
great
you.
conversation.